Looking for a way to get your kids interested in entrepreneurship? Well, you might want to listen to this podcast. The Christian Principles Podcast is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. But bear in mind, the views and opinions expressed here are those of the hosts and not necessarily of the Herzog Foundation. Welcome to the Christian Principles Podcast. I'm Matt George.
And I'm Mark Zockoll. Today we are excited to be joined by a guest who, man, it sounds like she does so much. Kind of like me, kind of like Matt. It's not okay to just be doing one thing. We need to be doing about 15 million different things. Dana, thank you so much for joining us. Dana is with I'm going to get this right this time and wrong the rest of the time, so we're going to work through it. Dana is with the Faith Driven Entrepreneurship team, FDE, but for teens. So Faith Driven Entrepreneurship, that's the umbrella, but then for teens, right, Dana? Did I get that right this time?
Yeah, you got it.
Awesome.
You know, listen, entrepreneurship is not an easy word,
Right?
and we use it everywhere. Everywhere.
Oh, man.
We're going to
Everyone
try to
always
say
gets my
it.
email wrong because you got to spell it.
Yes.
That's like a whole nother level.
People forget it's preneur, not the peneur or whatnot, I'm sure, too.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, well, walk us through a little bit more about FDE, which is so much easier to say, for teens versus, so walk us through FDE versus FDE teens. Go through that with us.
Yeah, you got it. So I have the privilege of being a part of the Faith Driven Entrepreneur team. And so our organization, nonprofit organization, started as a podcast, similar that you guys are in this space now, and just started to have conversations, our co-founders just started having conversations around people that were doing business differently. So when they were leading their companies, how were they maybe caring for their team differently, or thinking about their business as stewards of that business, not necessarily the owners, right? All these different concepts. And then it has evolved over these past 5 years where we also have faith-driven investor. So how do we walk alongside investors to say, what does the Bible say about our money and our investment, and how do we put that into an active out into the world that as it aligns to our faith? And then again, down the road, I have the opportunity to do the same thing with our young people, with high schoolers, with teens. And it started from content. We create content. And so it's creating these stories, or bringing out these stories that inspire people to think differently and then eventually act differently. So teens truly came out of all these entrepreneurs that were just saying, man, where was this when? This is great when I'm 60 and 50 and 40, but what about when I was 30 and 20 and, in my teens? And that's kind of how we got to where we are today.
Well, that's exciting. I think if I was going to start my own business, my own business would either be like a fashion retail shop, kind of like the ones that are out there available now. But I'm more fed up with how there's not enough of them where I am. Or a kid's, as a parent, I think about being in a kids' touch museum, and there's not really a kids' touch museum around us anywhere close.
Oh, yeah.
Or a sports retail. I don't really have too many my ideas that I would sell. Matt, do you have any of your ideas that you would sell? Besides your dinner plate, your trash can lid, dinner plate, and things like that?
Trash can lid,
dinner
plate.
I need to learn more about this.
I think it's,
What is this?
For Thanksgiving specifically.
No one needs to know more about this.
Plates are never big enough at Thanksgiving time. But no, honestly, I've been pitching around another business idea model specifically for churches, because I am really fed up with having to look for a gazillion different copies of the hymns that we're singing on Sunday, so that we have enough for all of our instrumentalists, and to be able to put it up on the screen for people to see and still see the music. Because COVID, everybody started putting hymns up on the screen, but it's just the words. I want words and music. And as far as I can tell, there's like nobody out there that's putting those out. So
do it, Matt.
If I had the time. Only if I had the time.
Where I live also needs a second driving range. We have one driving range. It's just not up to par. Golf pun, just not. It's not where it needs to be. Yeah. So I want to make one that is full service and has greens. And actually, the head deacon in our church right now, we're pretty close to putting money in to make this happen. So
All right.
anyway,
There you go.
but let's get back to why we're here. And we're talking to Christian school administrators. So Dana, why should our Christian school administrators care at all about FDE for teens?
Yeah. So you have all of these ideas, right? And I think all of us probably have some idea deep down. And what we really want to do is have young people to be able to see that their ideas matter and they matter to God. And so the course that we have is called Called to Create. And it's basically, we are created in the image of the Creator God, right? He created everything. And so then what does that look like for us? And so it gets ahead of some of these conversations around purpose and career and calling and college and, all these decisions that our young people have to make. And it starts the conversation around like, why? And then all the stories that we tell are the stories of entrepreneurs. We're not saying that every single kid needs to be an entrepreneur. They absolutely can, right? But there's something in the entrepreneurial mindset that is so powerful where it's like, I see a problem and I want to fix it. That doesn't mean I have to create something. It just means there's a problem and I could find a way to come up with a solution. So we really want to seed those ideas with young people. And we do it through these lens of entrepreneurs, well-known entrepreneurs. We've got Dude Perfect in there, Lecrae, we've got the
Matt,
founder of VeggieTales.
Dude Perfect, Matt.
I'm very much aware of that.
Matt loves Dude Perfect.
We love Dude Perfect.
Love Dude Perfect.
We love Dude Perfect. I have a 12 and 10-year-old boys. And so we are like full on in that phase.
Well, teenagers, this is the time of life where, I don't know if we could say peak creativity, but their minds go everywhere. They're not in a box. We've been failed so many times as adults that we sometimes limit ourselves. And as teenagers, I'll actually share this. So I grew up on a farm. And if you need to find ingenuity, like you find it when you're on a farm, because there's a lot of work that you want to get out of as a teenager. And my dad grew strawberries, and you pick strawberries early in the morning. And I do not like touching wet things, especially grass and strawberries. And it bothered me so bad. Like, you're just soaking wet early in the morning, just when you're just out of school, because that's when the strawberries are ripe. And I told my dad it would be awesome if we built a contraption where we had a canopy over us and we could be over top of the strawberry plants, so we could even pick in the middle of the day and we'd be in the shade the whole time, and we could even put it on wheels and put a little motor on it and we can move along. My dad built it. And we were side by side laying over top of these things. Now, we found out we could not pick fast enough to keep up with the motor, so we ended up just taking the motor off and just kind of pushed by hand.
Pushing it along.
That is awesome, man. You never told me this before.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. So we used it a couple times, and it may not have. It just allowed me to be lazy, I think. We didn't really pick more strawberries with it. However,
you didn't have to get up as early, baby.
I didn't have to get up as early. But from what I understand, these machines now exist for picking over strawberries, and they're selling these things. And I did not, I didn't get the patent for it, and shame on me. Should have done it.
But you knew that there was a challenge. You had a challenge. And so you wanted to fix your own problem, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the gift in it. And so having young people think that way, right? Of just whenever they walk into something, it doesn't mean that they have to be the one to patent it or be the one to sell it and go on to millions. Might they? Maybe.
Sure.
But it's also just, hey, look at what I've done.
Look
at what I've created. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Now, this is a program that we, as Christian principals, we're trying to introduce this to our listeners. But how does this program work within a school setting?
Yeah. So what we have right now, it lives digitally. So it's on a digital platform. It's through a Mighty network. And we set up a space for each school so they have their individual space. There is a full guidebook that goes with it. So a facilitator's guide of this is how you could walk through it. This is what they're going to learn in each lesson. There are 12 lessons throughout, and each one of the lessons has a story, so an entrepreneurial story, and then it has kind of a what does this mean to me and how do I make sense of it for myself? And then there's a workbook with each one. So they can, download the entirety of the workbook at the very beginning, and then they'll have kind of an output at the end of the work that was worked through. But man, some of the things that we see come out, so we utilize Patrick Lencioni's Working Genius model. So this is starting to understand as young people, like, who am I? How do I fit in a project role with those around me? And oh, by the way, I might be better at this one thing, but somebody else is better at the other thing. So that's awesome. I don't have to be everything to everyone all the time. And I just think it's fun when you get some of those ahas where it's like in any of this work, there's no right or wrong answer, right? They're just exploring and trying to understand what it means for them.
Cool.
What in the curriculum allows them to be creative? Are there parts in each one of those 12 lessons where they're expected to actually create the contraption, the strawberry machine? They're expected to actually go and build the plan for the driving range? What does it look like?
Yeah, we don't do an output of like create your thing and this is what it would be. We do give opportunities for what ideas do you have, or like we have one kind of assignment in the workbook that it's go into a business, because you guys, one of the greatest reasons to study business is because you're dealing with business every day in your physical and digital life. Every day, right? So whether you're going to a gas station or you're interacting with somebody online that's selling something, like they're always reacting to it. So we have assignments in there where it's like, pick a place to go. I don't care where it is. Maybe it's a one driving range in town, right? And you're going in there and you're saying, what do I like about this business? What do I see as an opportunity? What might I do differently, right? So it's some of those critical thinking skills of analyzing what you see and walking in not just as a consumer, but someone that kind of puts the hat on of what would I do? So it's not like everybody has to come up with something from scratch, but it is kind of a reaction of what you're experiencing as you walk through it.
That's very freeing for one who is not necessarily the person who's mechanically minded enough to put together the Da Vinci system. My thought would be like, build a robot to do this, but you build a robot to do everything, so those aren't, but to hear, no, it could be just management. It could be my management style.
100%.
My way of playing baseball is going to make the Savannah Bananas.
Yeah.
Who I wish would sponsor us, right? But they don't.
Yeah.
So my way of playing. So it's really encouraging their God-given personalities, encourage their God-given
talents,
the ways they would go about doing something that's different than mom and dad or Joe Schmo down the street, and saying, hey, that is valid. I can't tell you that there were many people in my life who told me that was also entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Totally. Which I appreciate that you brought that up, because it's a way of thinking, right? And we want that to be, so the expectation here is not like, hey, everybody comes out and they're an entrepreneur. It is really understanding in their experience. And we actually want to reduce pressure in a lot of ways, because we know, you guys know this better than me, better than I do, and your listeners know this better than I do. But when you get in that like junior and senior year and the pressure around making decisions, where are you going to go to college? Are you going to go to college? Where are you going to go to college? What are you going to study? What are all these things? But then it's also like, who's God made me to be? And then how do I make those decisions? Because then I can make a really informed decision instead of like say, oh, I like this one because the campus was the most beautiful, or my friends are going there, right? But really understanding how that connects to them as well. So we really do want to reduce some of that pressure of like, you don't have to figure it all out, but let's be curious and let's learn. Like everywhere that we walk into, let's look at that as a learning opportunity to see, in Lecrae's video, in one of the lessons, he talks about, just because you're because you're a follower of Jesus doesn't mean you have to be a pastor or you have
Right.
to be a youth pastor. Like there's so many ways that the Lord can use you in your work. And so we're really trying to help bring that message to young people so they can explore what it does look like for them to follow the Lord with their calling in their life.
Yeah. That hits home to me because that's a big part of my testimony, and that listening to preachers pushing for full-time ministry, and you're just automatically hearing that full-time ministry is pastoral or
Yep.
missions or something like that, when you're faced with the reality of my dad's a farmer and I believe he's in full-time ministry. Like
Totally.
he does everything according, for God's honor and glory, and he uses it to further the ministry of his church and everything else. Like where God has called you to, you have a purpose and you have
Yep.
a mission that you can accomplish. And when I connected those dots in high school, that is really when clarity began to start with, okay, where does God have me? Now,
Yep.
did I think it was going to be an administration of a Christian school? No way. Jose did not think that, but it started that journey. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm hearing. That's what this program seems to be
Yep.
about, is
Yep.
you're creating that interest, that creativity, you're tapping into it so that they can run with it wherever they end up going in life.
Dana, tell us, you said this is in schools, high schools, middle schools, elementary schools.
Yeah.
So what is the targeted age group for the Called to Create lesson plans, Called to Create curriculum, if we want to call it that? How long does it usually run? And how is it facilitated? Do you just have students doing their own work? Is this student-paced? Is this led by an entrepreneur? Is this led by the business teacher? Is this led by the math teacher? What have you seen done so far?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. So first off, from an age, it was really built for kind of the sophomore, junior target to try and get a little bit ahead of some of these conversations, getting ahead of college decision or post high school decision. When you get earlier than that age demographic, some of the self-discovery pieces are a little bit harder, right? Because as we know, as they mature and develop, later on in high school, I think you're more apt to be able to answer some of those. So kind of that sophomore, junior, where it has fit from a kind of curriculum in the school best has been things around, business class or innovation, career and calling. I've had people put it in a J term, where they're taking like a January, just a short term. I've had people saying, hey, we do have some entrepreneurial students and they have a club. So I know that is like actually not helpful because it is really flexible, that it could look a lot of different ways.
Yeah, no help at all. Thanks a lot.
I know. Well, it's better when it's really clear, right? But every school does things differently too. Right. So, some are trimesters, some are semesters, some are year round. Like everybody's different in that way. But we do work with the school directly. So it would be something that if somebody's interested, like me and my team would absolutely work with them directly. Like, what do you need? What's the best way? We want to make sure that you feel confident in sharing this information. So it's 12 sessions. That doesn't mean it has to be done like 12 days in a row. You can spread it out however you want because the content is available. But we can walk alongside them too to make sure that they feel confident.
I'm putting it together that it's more supplementary than it would be like this is your full-time class within the year. Does that make sense?
Depends on how long the class is. Yeah. So it's about 12 hours worth of content, if it helps from a content standpoint there. It's about 12 hours worth of content. And about per session, about 20 to 25 of that is video content. So you're actually showing a video. So you're not doing that.
Right.
You're like not teaching something there necessarily. You're sharing videos. And then you would lead discussions, but all the discussion questions are there. And in the facilitator's guide, additional dive deeper question opportunities are there as well. And then the workbook is kind of the let's like go and do. And some of that can be done right there in class, Or it can be done after class. Like I said, if you're going into a business, you're not doing that right then. They're
Right.
probably going to do that evening or, that week at some point outside of school hours.
Now, I know that you're going to, at some point, tell us about the Grand Rapids Children's Business Fair, but just with that in
I mean, if you
mind,
want me to.
I mean, you could throw that at the end. That's great. But with that in mind, have schools reported that they have had some kind of culminating assignment or activity
Yeah.
or something like that? Can you tell us about those?
Yeah. So first of all, we're very early. Let me say this too. Like, we're pretty early with Faith Driven Entrepreneur for Teens. And so that is part of our future, that we want to get to a place where we're putting together an event or something that you're sharing your experience. You're able to do that. We have had schools and organizations that have done it on their own, right? Where they say, hey, we're going to come together and we want to build something in the end. We do want to make it more hyper entrepreneurial, and then they'll put on a marketplace or something like that in the end. So we do have groups that are doing that. It's just not part of the curriculum yet today. Now, of course, you asked, so I will share, there are probably in your city too, opportunities for young people to start a business, to share in kind of a open marketplace. And we host one of those here in Grand Rapids, which is what, thank you, Mark, you shared. But we have 60 schools, like more than 60 schools represented in our little fair here in Grand Rapids. So, there are things happening outside of the school sometimes too. So if you could partner with someone and work towards that, like that would be awesome, without having to be the one that has to put on the logistics of the event at the same time. You can. I mean, if you want to, it's great. But if you could partner with someone, that would be really great too.
Listen, Matt loves to be the logistics man. That's his favorite. That's his calling in life.
Really? Oh, no. I don't think Matt's buying it.
No. Nope.
I'm the logistics person, and my 12-year-old is taking over a lot of it. He has been for the last 2 years, which has been such a gift because we've seen him grow in his administrative abilities, and he has that gift. And so we've done a lot of that work together over the last couple of years, which has been fun.
Okay, big dirty question. What is this going to cost a Christian school to get a hold of?
Yeah. So right now our posted rates, it's $99 for the course. And then we do $25 per student, depending on how many are there. Now, if that becomes more, then it becomes more than $1,000, depending on how many students, then we look at an annual, right? We look at like, how do we work with you on an annual basis so we can figure this out and make it affordable over time. So we do have hard costs like the Working Genius assessment. That's something that we pay for and take on as well. But ultimately, we want these ideas in the hands of schools and getting to the kids. So it's something that we're continually working on and making it accessible for schools.
But that, from what I understand, that cost, that's like all inclusive. Like that, there's not additional purchases. They don't have to buy textbooks or anything. That's everything.
No.
Everything is a part of that.
Yep.
That cost.
Yeah. And what you can do, again, I know it's not super clear. It's flexible though. But what they can do is they could say, hey, we're going to do this in class, but then their students can still have access to it. Like you have an individual access point. If you want, you can set it up that way that if they're like, man, I remember one time when I heard this story and I want to go back to it, then they can, like they have their individual access as well. When it's online, it's easy to do that. They just have their own login.
No, it's more like proof is in the pudding. If our kids can make enough money to pay you back for this, then we'll pay you back for this.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right.
There you go. You know what? Here's the thing. So what I've learned, and this is on the entrepreneurship side, on the actual starting something. So people ask us for our children's business fair, and you asked me this about like, are they going to create something? I totally believe that young people, they'll do it. I mean, with our children's business fair, we basically just say, here's the time. And granted, this is more parent-led, like parent-supported, not parent-led, child-led, but parent-supported. When they have ideas. Like, they don't need me to say, here's some ideas. Like, they have ideas or they know how to find ideas. Like, they're just going to go and do. And then they're going to be like, look at what I did, So I don't know that they need that. I don't know that they need the handhold of like, how do you start a business? Like, think of lemonade stands. They just do it. Mom and dad have a garage sale. I'm going to sell cookies or I'm going to sell candy or look at all the black markets in schools, right? Like, they know. They know how to do it.
This Jolly Ranchers were 3 of your warheads.
Right?
So this is entrepreneurship for teens, but you mentioned the investment. Is there going to be an investment for teens in the future as well?
Great. I mean, we should think about that. Honestly, we haven't at this point. We just launched with this kind of Q1 of 2025, still new. But it's a possibility. I mean, we have a full foundations course in Faith Driven Investor. So it's a possibility of how do you think about stewarding your money well for the long term. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it. Matt's the idea guy.
No, Matt's just trying to be he's just trying to be impressive and be an entrepreneur right now. That's all.
I like it.
Yeah. If only I had somebody that could actually make those ideas happen.
If only someone would think of an idea to keep my child happy.
Yeah, come on,
Finn. Finn is not having it right now, folks. And
you know what?
I've been trying to hide it, but it's
Mark,
it's hard to hide.
You are in survival mode season still, okay? When your youngest hits 4 years old, then you will have made it. But until then, all the grace is given. Have you made it? How old are your kids, Matt?
I made it. Yep.
How old?
10, 8, and 4.
Oh, you're there.
I'm there.
Yeah. I'm way beyond it.
Listen, sister, 5, 3, 2, and like 9 months.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Isn't that right, Finn?
Your oldest is barely out of survival zone.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, it's the best. It is the best. But 12 and 10 is like the actual best.
I'm excited. I do see that there is so much angst about the cost of college. We see more gap years.
Yeah.
We're hearing more about apprenticeships. We're seeing students return more to what mom and dad are doing.
He wants to be on the pod, Mark. Let him be on the pod.
We're hearing all of those things. But it's exciting to think, well, how about entrepreneurship? How about we tackle that side of the box?
All those options are great, right? Vocational school is great. Apprenticeships are great. Gap years are great. College is great. Like, it's not this or that. It's literally like all of them are a solution for someone. Mm-hmm. And so how might we help them earlier to start to understand which options might, and if you choose one, it's not the end of the world. If it's not the right one, like, it's not the end of the world. Yeah. You can continue to learn, like, you adjust and you learn and you just kind of keep moving, you know? Again, it's like, how do we reduce the pressure? Pressure.
Yeah.
They'll get there.
You don't have to hit a home run on the first swing.
Right.
It's that. So no, this has been excellent. And it's nice to know, even as school administrators, when you're putting your course schedules together for the next year, we tend to think, we have to get in, language, we have to get in math, we have to get in. But if we're not taking the time to stir the pot, to get them to think, while this is all necessary, it's all good for you, you have to be thinking, how am I going to be living out my life for God and applying all of this, especially as a history teacher. That's where I heard it the most. We're just learning about dead people. Well, yes, we are, but there's a purpose for it. If you can see, by studying life and how others have navigated life. And, I am always flabbergasted, I think, with each birthday, that I'm thinking of people that we talk about in history all the time that didn't live to be as old as I am. Yep. And yet we're talking about them because they made a difference. And I tell my kids all the time, that could be you. You just have to know that whatever God puts in front of you, are you equipped? Are you equipping yourself so that when that door of opportunity opens, you can walk through it?
Yep.
And that's what we're shooting for.
Look at the disciples. They were so young. Yeah. So all of it matters. I just have such an incredible hope for our young people and where they're headed. And I just want them to know. And I think that's part of this course too. Just want them to know you can be part of this game. Let's do it now. I don't think you have to wait. I think you can start trying things now and learning now.
Yeah, absolutely. Sweet.
Dana, thank you so much again. If we had Christian school administrators who wanted to contact you, any of our listeners, walk us through how they should best contact you, where they can find this course, all the rest of it. Even something
Yep.
about the children's business fair.
Yeah. You can go to Faith Driven Entrepreneur for Teens. There's FDE 4Teens.org also, which is much shorter and you don't have to spell entrepreneur. If they want to just reach out to me directly, I would love to talk to them. You know, like if it just a conversation to take a look at the product, see if it's the right thing, I would be honored to walk them through that. And if you're in Grand Rapids, where I am, we do have a children's business fair, and it's not just high school. It starts at 5 years old, 5 through 14. We'll have our 10th annual in May, and that's at the GR Children's Business Fair.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Are you on social media?
Yeah, find me on LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm just Dana Roefer. I'm pretty easy to find.
Awesome. Well, Dana, thank you. It's an exciting thing to talk about. And you have an exciting product to share because you've developed it with exciting people behind it and big names, because there is a need for it. And I don't know if they're the YouTube generation. I don't know which generation that would be, but they've seen everything from the guys who are mowing yards for free because their YouTube their YouTube contributions are so high, to I mean the small media brands that have grown larger than certain of the big media brands in certain cities, because they can do it all. They can do so much themselves and get the contributions from the mass sources and whatnot. So it's exciting.
Well, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the work that you're doing. And, even when we talk about calling, and Matt, you were talking about, you didn't expect that you'd be an administrator, and what a ministry, right? To have all of these young people that are within your care and that the Lord has entrusted you with those families. It's a big task. It's a big job. So keep up the great work. Appreciate what you're doing and what all your listeners do on a daily basis. Yeah. It's not an easy job.
Awesome. Thank you, Dana. This was great.
No, it's not. It's not. Thank you for recognizing it is not the easiest job in the world.
Okay, I know we were supposed to break like a long time ago, but my mom was an administrator of alternative ed. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so it was like wild when I was growing up, because she would come home to her upper middle class home, but she was in alternative ed, it was wild. And she's the strongest person that I know. And I remember one time being at the mall, and this was amazing to me. I remember being at the mall and her students come running up to her at the mall. And I was like, I would never want to see. And she said, it's because they know that I care so much.
That's awesome.
For them. Awesome. And it just, it's one of those moments that just changes everything, and you recognize what an important space the school is in the lives of so many. So keep it up.
All right, Dana. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
This is exciting.
This episode of the Christian Principles Podcast is brought to you by the Herzog Foundation. As Christian educators, we know that liberty without truth is fragile, and truth starts with God. That's why the Herzog Foundation has launched the Faith and Freedom 250 campaign, an initiative that equips schools and families to connect the biblical roots of American freedom to the next generation. Having started on July 4th, 2025, and following through until July 3rd, 2026, Herzog is releasing short videos each Friday, highlighting voices from across the country, educators, leaders, parents, and everyday Americans, reflecting on key moments in our nation's history and the importance of commemorating 250 years of liberty. We all understand how faith has always been central to our country's founding and why it still matters today. It's an incredible way to integrate history, civics, and biblical worldview into your school's curriculum, especially as we approach America's 250th birthday in 2026. Visit herzogfoundation.com to view their free resources and get started today. And make sure to tell them that the fellas here at the Christian Principles Podcast sent you. All right, it is time for our administrator spotlight. And for this episode, we are shouting out Mr. Steve Ogren, the administrator at Lake Region Christian School in Baxter, Minnesota.
I look at Baxter, Minnesota, and it's like dead middle of the state.
Right in the middle, right in the center of it, which, Minnesota is still way up there too. So you're in the center of way up there. But But it looks like Mr. Ogren has had 22 years in the Christian school education. So we're thankful for his faithfulness, and I'm going to pray for him, and we'll wrap up this episode. So let's pray. Father, we thank you so much for Steve and his ministry there in Baxter at Lake Region. I thank you for his following you and calling him to be a leader in Christian education. We thank you for the opportunity he has to serve a ministry that is dedicated, Lord, to, as we talked a lot in this episode about just helping students to grow, to be stewards, entrepreneurs in all aspects of life for you. And he is in this ministry for a reason. You've called him to it. And I just pray that you would give him awesome reminders of that throughout this summertime, that you would encourage him as he begins preparations for the next school year. And that, of course, he would be doing all for your honor, for your glory. I pray that whatever struggles he may be facing, whether personal or with the school, Lord, that you would just give him answers, give him guidance and wisdom as he continues on in that ministry for you. We thank you for all that you do for us, Lord, and we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, everybody. Thanks for growing with us today.
Before you go, please be sure to hit that follow button on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, on Spotify, be sure to tap the star icon near the top and select the number of stars you'd like to give us. We'd be so grateful for 5. On Apple Podcasts, scroll down to the ratings and review section and then tap write a review to share your thoughts of the podcast. Thank you.